Welcome back to Retiring Today. We're going through our succession checklist. You can download the checklist at successionchecklist.com. So the checklist mirrors the retirement plans that you guys help people put together. So the next thing in the retirement plans is the healthcare aspect. But when you're facing the loss of a spouse or planning for the loss of a spouse, there's some healthcare tips to know about.
Yeah, and the good news is that if you are on Medicare, there's not a lot of changes because that's individual coverage through the program. So you just have to notify your insurance agent that your spouse is no longer there, and you would still continue your own coverage. But it's different if you're on employer coverage. So let's say your spouse held healthcare coverage for you and they did it through the employer. Well, then we may have to contact the employer and see what options we have to continue coverage.
And your employer, sometimes it's good to contact the employer. I think that was probably included in one of those first things where you talk about, talking to your professional network. Sometimes there is a life insurance benefit available to you through your spouse's work, right?
There could be. So that's why we say add it to your emergency contact list. If they're still working, call your employer because there could be possibly a 401k plan that you need to roll over, there could be health insurance that you need to cover, or there could be a life insurance policy that you're entitled to, and that's tax-free benefits. So definitely call the employer, see if there's any benefits that you're still entitled to.
Okay, next piece is the legacy plan. So next up on the checklist, one of the first things you have under there, Haley, is to contact your attorney.
Contact your attorney because I don't know if you've ever read a trust document or a will.
I can't say that I have, but I know that you two have.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of legal jargon in it, and you should contact your attorney, sit down with them, and as the executor of the estate, know your role, and they're gonna help you with that. They're gonna help identify what roles you have in closing out the estate and help you through the legal process of moving forward and closing the estate.
Yeah, and they'll also help with that, with the beneficiary. So also contact your retirement planner. So this really is a combination effort between your attorney, your retirement planner, even your CPA should all be notified and work on behalf of you to make sure everything's taken care of. You mentioned the beneficiaries in the last segment. The beneficiaries need to be accounted for and changed when you go through this. So you contact your spouse's employer, but then also look at your employer plan. I remember distinctly there was a couple years ago that somebody came to us, his spouse had passed away 3 months prior, but she didn't have a beneficiary listed, and that happens actually quite a bit with an employer plan. And then this is 3 months later, and he still has not gained access to $1 million of their retirement money. So that beneficiary the beneficiary change cannot be stressed enough. It is vitally important to make sure all that stuff is updated once a spouse passes away, and hopefully you look at it prior to anybody passing away.
And how often do we meet with families? And I remember this not too long ago, we met with a family, and what ended up happening was her husband passed away, and there were still accounts, they were both previously married, there were still accounts that were titled to the ex-spouse. And legally, they are entitled to those funds. So it's definitely important to update the beneficiaries. It's not always what we're often thinking about, but if your spouse passed away and they were 100% primary on your account, you're gonna wanna update that to either your children or the loved ones that you wanna leave behind.
Yeah, which is why the beneficiary review is such a big part of our annual review process to make sure your beneficiaries that are selected are still the beneficiaries that you want going forward, so there are no surprises in the event that somebody does pass away. And as a part of your belongings, as a part of all the material that you have, right, all the stuff on the checklist we talked about, a beneficiary list, so basically all the accounts you have and who is the beneficiary, that should be in there as well. So you guys can review it on an ongoing basis and make sure everybody is aware when somebody passes away, here's what's gonna happen to the money. Here's the order that it's gonna go in, and it will transfer in the best way possible.
Okay, anything else with the legacy planner? Should we move on to kind of that last piece of the checklist? Haley, you ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have another category, and there's some interesting tips under your other category.
Sure, so one of the miscellaneous items is to contact one of the 3 major credit bureaus. And the reason why is you want to flag the deceased credit report to say they're deceased, because fraud is so prevalent right now. Often what happens is people try to steal the identities of those who passed away. So if you contact one of the 3 major credit bureaus, they'll flag the credit report, and that will prevent fraud from happening in the future.
And veterans, there's a lot of benefits for even the spouses of veterans when they pass.
There are. So there's definitely benefits for veterans, and if you're interested to see if you're still entitled to those benefits as a spouse, you would want to contact the VA administration and see if you're entitled to any of the health care benefits or possibly a life insurance policy that's out there as well.
Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.